This is Suit Up Sports. Suit Up Sports. Where opinions are as sharp as a tailored suit. No fluff, no gimmicks, just unfiltered, hard-hitting takes on sports and a whole lot more. It's time to suit up. Now here's your host, DJ the Suit Stout.
Welcome to Suit Up Sports. I'm DJ the Suit Stout, along with 10-year NFL vet Frank Garcia. Frank, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing great, my man. It's been a couple of weeks now. We just got back from Vegas, and lot going on. Panthers played their butts off yesterday. Unexpected win. College football is peaking and getting ready to go. All the controversies, all the talks, the coaching decisions, the carousels, the firings, the hirings. I mean, there's so much to get into. I'm super excited. Yeah,
yesterday's Panther game, and we'll start with that here in a second, was definitely a surprise. I was, as you mentioned, we were in Vegas last weekend for 3 or 4 nights, and then I went to California, ended up in Stanford on Friday, went to the Notre Dame-Stanford game Saturday night. That was it. 7:30 at night, Stanford time, 10:30 at night, Charlotte time. ACC tried to play a little trick with Notre Dame there to
try to make them sleepy.
They tried to hurt them a little bit,
sleepwalking.
But they didn't, and they came out and wore Stanford out. I did get a cold now, which we knew was coming after being gone for 9 days, as much traveling I was doing. But before we get Panthers, I just wanted to say, I'd never been to Stanford before. I know you played there, right? So they have a nice newer stadium.
Right there, it's really doesn't look like California, does it?
It's
like you're in the redwoods,
all the cypress big trees.
Yeah.
And we tailgated where you parked and tailgated were between all these trees.
Yeah, you're in a forest.
And I think I sent you a video. And it was really cool. Like it was really cool. And the friends we were with, our buddies Jamie and Heather, who are great hosts, and his family and parents and kids, and everybody was there. And they're all Notre Dame fans. But who's
the coach? Frank Reich at Stanford?
Right. He is now. They just brought in
Andrew Luck is like the general manager of the program.
And they just hired the Washington Redskins, I think, quarterback coach to be the new coach next year. But tell you this, we go into the stadium, cool stadium, and
is it though?
I mean, well, it's kind of new now, I guess. And
it's newer than what it was.
It almost reminded me of the soccer stadium they're building now.
That's
it's
right.
Not huge.
That's right.
It was half full.
It's not a football environment like you would expect, with the tradition that they've had in years past. It's very artsy and it's quaint. It's not even. There's not that feel of coming into a program.
When I called it, because like I said, it was half full.
Yeah,
and it was mainly Notre Dame fans.
There's a wine and cheese crowd.
Felt like I was at a high school game.
Yep.
And even
the
the stuff they did between like timeouts and stuff when they do all these games, it was like a nerd fest. Yeah. They had like 2 nerds come out there and tell like mama jokes. And then they had it was all like nerd stuff. Like we're all sitting there going, what the hell are we watching right now? Like have somebody step on some damn hot coals or throw a football through. But I don't think any of these kids can go football. It was a nerd fest. Yeah. Now, granted, all those folks that go to Stanford are brilliant and they're all going to be doctors and
they were doing math competitions at halftime.
Yeah. I mean, seriously, that's really what it was. But Notre Dame, wore them out, thankfully, and got to see Jeremiah Love in person, which was great, even though he got hurt during the game. Price, Aeneas Williams' son, I don't know if you saw it, but Notre Dame throws a crazy fake punt on their own 15 that goes for a touchdown. But Stanford itself was a really cool environment, especially the tailgate part, like I said, between the cypress trees and it was cool. But I get on the plane yesterday morning. Krista and I fly out of San Francisco. Our flight was at 9:00, so that's noon Charlotte time. I get my Wi-Fi on my iPad working. I'm ready for the Panther game. I put in a few bets. I had the Rams and teasers, everything you could have a bet in. I had the Rams in because I'm thinking that's the lock of the day.
Oh, it's 10.5 point. They were the biggest, either the biggest or the second biggest underdog or favorite of the day.
Yeah, they come in. Hottest team in the NFL. Most people would say best team in the NFL. Matt Stafford had done 28 straight touchdowns without interception.
Offense was clicking.
Their receivers, Pakua and Adams. Adams leads the league in touchdowns. Kyron Williams and Corum running the ball. They're just a loaded football team. And so no one, especially after the drubbing the Panthers took against San Fran on Monday Night Football, expected this. And I got to tell you, first of all, you and I on this show, I think we do a very good job of being objective. Me and you might fight on certain things, but we've talked about how the jury's still out on Bryce Young and the jury's still out on Dave Canales. One of the things I've said about Canales that I do like is that when he does seem to have a game where, and I'll use San Fran as an example, when Rico Dowdle only gets 5 or 6 carries, to me, that's a bad decision by the coach. I think he get caught up in something. He does seem the next games after he has that, he does seem to learn from his mistakes. And I think we have to remember he's a first-time head coach. He's a young head coach. I give him credit on making adjustments when he has a bad day. And I thought yesterday, the way that we ran the ball was the key to the game, because Chuba looked healthy and he had a hell of a game. Dowdle, still had one more carry than Chuba. I mean, I think Rico had 18 carries. Chuba had 17. Chuba had 83 yards. Dowdle 53. But we exerted our will against them, and we ran the ball, which opened up some opportunities for Bryce. And listen, number one, the Panthers are first in the NFL when it comes to fourth downs. They've completed more fourth downs than any team in the league. Yesterday, 2 big fourth downs, and on both of those, they go for the throat, and we get a great touchdown pass to Coker, and we get a great touchdown pass to Tet, his only catch of the game, 43-yard touchdown. I was blown away by and the defense, knowing that we had no Morig, who's been our one of our best players, knowing we had no Roseboom, our leading tackler, knowing we didn't have J.C. Horn, our best cornerback. I expected this Rams defense to tear us up, but they did the old bend don't break. And you always say this, football's won in the red zone. So between the 20s, the Rams had their way with us, but once we got down in the 20s, for the most part, we nutted up. We had the big deflection by Brown early for the first interception, and then Mike Jackson steps in front of Pakua for his first pick 6 ever, and then running the ball kept kept the Rams off the field for a lot of the time, especially that third quarter where we kept the ball damn near the whole third quarter. What surprised you most about the big win for the Panthers yesterday?
I think for me, it was the resiliency and the comeback and the fight that they had. And, it's so interesting how one team can look a certain way one week and completely a different way the next. And I can't put my finger on why. Maybe it's the home crowd. Maybe it's the opponent. Maybe it's the week of practice. It might be pride. It might just be matchups and how you match up against a certain team. But yesterday, the Panthers dominated the line of scrimmage, running the ball, double teams coming downhill. The Rams maybe are built a little differently for the division that they play in. They're going to be played more to stop the pass. So they're going to have more fast, athletic guys on the defensive side versus the division that we play in. There's going to be more of, hey, we've got to run the ball. We've got to build an offensive line that's going to be able to use double teams and come downhill. And Rico Dowdle is going to be able to read those, and you can mix it up with Chuba. So, that could be a little bit part of it. But the Rams and the Rams and the Niners, they play in the same division. And why were you able to run the ball one week and not the next? It's befuddling. You can't put your finger on it.
Well, we did run the ball against San Fran. We just didn't attempt to run the ball. We didn't do it enough. Right. Like when Dowdle did run, he was averaging, I think, 6 yards a carry. We just didn't run the ball.
The difference between those carries and what you're doing when you're dictating tempo and running the ball on first and second down versus a draw that's going to get you 7 or 8 on a 3rd and 12. Right? Defenses are going to be softer. They're going to give up the run, and they're going to let you have those big, running plays. 7-8 yards, a good run. It's a very good run. If you average that, that's pretty dang good.
Because we want to keep 3rd and short.
You want to get to the reason why the Panthers have converted more 4th and shorts and fourth down plays is because they've been on pace and able to do those things. Running the ball and passing the ball. I think Bryce played his ass off yesterday. Maybe one of his best games other than when he had the 400 yards plus passing game. He didn't make big mistakes. They won the turnover battle. They won the time of possession. And those are the key stats. How do you do that? It should be as clear as day to the coaching staff. This is our formula for success. Now, having that formula and going out there and executing the game plan are the things that, you have to kind of figure out where's the disconnect and why we're able to do that sometimes and not other times. It's formations, it's motions, it's whatever it might be to create those mismatches. But yesterday the Panthers had it clicking, and the Rams, it's not like they played poorly.
No,
I mean, they moved the ball all over the place, but the Panthers were opportunistic. They had a pick six. They had a pick in the end zone. That would have been a 2-touchdown swing, right? I mean, the Rams were going to take a big lead, and you give the Panthers credit for the resiliency and the toughness and fighting at home. Because if the Rams would have taken a 2-touchdown lead, it would have been very easy to sit there and say, okay, Panthers are going to tap out.
Now they got to throw the ball every time. They got to get away.
Now we've made them predictable. They're going to become who we hope that we hope they're going to play to their weaknesses, not their strength.
Right.
The strength of the Panthers offense and their team is running the ball and stopping the run.
Yep.
And I think that's what they do as well as anybody in this league. Now, how do you make that your identity? That's the thing that the head coach has got to understand. This is who we are. And you can't have those, well, you know what, it's my fault that I didn't run the ball enough against San Francisco. Yeah, I mean, that's why people get fired. Your job at the head coaching level is to make sure that you stay true to your identity until you can't.
Yeah. And
there's going to be some games where you just – ball doesn't bounce your way. The other team makes some big plays, whatever it might be. It's not your day, and you have to be able to come maybe play a little bit differently, but you have to start off every game understanding that this is the way we win football games. And the Panthers were able to stay true to that because of very opportunistic turnovers. Mike Jackson had that pick six, near the red zone when the Rams were coming out, and they stayed with it because it wasn't just going to be, running the ball, keeping the ball away from Stafford and their offense. It was also going to be the defense had to step up and make plays too. And it was kind of like a perfect storm. Everything that, we needed to happen happened. It was about as close to a perfect game as you could draw up for the Panthers. Is that who they are?
Well,
that's who they can be.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's who they are.
Well, here's what I thought was interesting. You mentioned Bryce, 15 for 20, 206 yards, 3 touchdowns, his highest quarterback rating, 147
very
rating,
efficient,
which is the second highest in team history. And Bryce was very efficient. The fourth down throws, even the one to close the game out to Coker, where we could then take a knee was a seed, and Coker had his best game as a Panther, and Canales has been saying that they need to get him involved. Yesterday we see why. When they traded Adam Thielen away, Coker got hurt, missed the first 4 or 5 games. The last 2 games, now we're seeing him get involved, and we see what a dangerous player he can be. They showed a graphic during the game yesterday that the Panthers have the tallest wide receiver crew in the NFL with
6'4", 6'5", 6'4".
Yeah, we got some big dudes.
Yeah, 6'3", 6'3",
and yesterday
6'4",
we
6'5",
saw
yeah.
that. And one of the other things that I thought was interesting is that the Rams came into the game playing more dime defense than any team in the NFL. They like to have athletic guys that can be all over the place on the field. We took them out of that, and I think that probably had a lot to do with it too. When we took them out,
that's what I was saying about matchups. That's what I said about matchups. When a team plays cover 2, you have to run them out of cover 2. You can't allow their secondary to slough off and play. You have to run them into the cover 3 or the man coverages and things like that, and make them commit to stopping the run or make them commit to stopping the pass. Whatever it is that you're. And then you can take the advantage of the other thing. And that's, I think, what the Panthers were able to do yesterday is they forced them into, getting out of their dime defense because they were running the ball down their throat. The Rams had to commit to doing something that they weren't really accustomed to. That's not the strength of their team, and playing to Panther-style football. And then when the Panthers were able to do that, they were able to take advantage of the 6'3", 6'4", with play action, with big bodies against small bodies, one-on-one against guys that used to having a guy underneath or playing zone coverage versus having to play man because the Panthers were running the ball. And any coordinator will tell you that's the worst thing that can ever happen. So we can be in the best defense. They're still running the ball down our throat and we can't stop it. Now we're in trouble.
Yeah.
Right? And I felt like the Rams could sense that yesterday. And it's still, the Rams still had the offense to be able to come back, but the Panthers defense stepped up. They made plays when they had to, and it was a complete win. That's the word I was like. It's probably the most complete win that I've seen the complete game that I've seen the Panthers play this year, offensively and defensively. They were hitting, probably on 9 out of 10 cylinders.
Yeah, and the other thing about the Panthers is, we needed against the Rams, you have to come away with touchdowns, not field goals, and we did that yesterday. We scored more points in the first half than we had in any game this year, and then we mentioned the 2 fourth down plays where Coker got a touchdown, Tech got a touchdown, and you got to score TDs against the Rams because they're going to score. And McVay after the game, who I think he's the best coach in the NFL. If he's not, he's in the top 3. He said,
Andy Reid's the best coach, but yeah, he's up there. He's up top 3.
And I thought what he said after the game was, he goes, look, we didn't play bad.
That's right.
Now, did we have a couple of interceptions that hurt or fumble that?
I mean,
they made plays.
You can't have game-changing type plays, which is like a kickoff return, punt return, something in the special teams, which is going to be almost insurmountable, or a pick six. Pick sixes are the same type of thing. It's when the defense can score, I would venture to bet that the team with the defense scores like that was going to win probably 80% of those games.
Yeah.
And it was, like I said, it was the most complete game this team has played, because the offense, they still run the ball. They still use their play. Say, well, the ball didn't bounce our way. It's 1 or 2 plays. And that's how much different the NFL is compared to college, even at the SEC level, the Big Ten level. When you're playing championship games, it's 1 or 2 plays that makes the difference, and any team can beat any team on any given Sunday.
Yeah, and when the thing too about staying with the run, as far as the Panthers go, not only do you keep Stafford off the field, and I think Drew Brees alluded to this in the third quarter, the defense was getting tired, man. I mean, those big dudes are getting tired, and like you said, we saw it even later with the Pittsburgh Buffalo game. When the defense knows you're going to run the ball and you continue to run the ball, that's got to be deflating to some point. And that defense was getting tired. And we kept Stafford off the field, which is great. I mean, there was a point in time in this game, due to the injuries, that we had 2 or 3 DBs out there I never heard of. One we just picked up last week. Another one I still don't know who he is. But the one kid that I do want to talk about, who I loved him when we drafted him. He's shown flashes this year, but he got the start this week with Morg being out. Is Latham Ransom, the rookie out of Ohio State, 4th round pick safety. He lays the boom, man. He had 3 hits yesterday that I haven't seen any hits like that this year by the Panthers, where Kyron Williams is going to have nightmares about that dude. One time I thought he broke his damn hip. He did come out for a while because he was a little rattled, did come back in the game. But just the attitude that Ransom brought on defense was something that I think was contagious. And then Derek Brown, who is having a great year after missing last year, after being a Pro Bowler or All Pro the year before that, had the batted pass that created an interception. And
anyway, I mean, it's hard to give him credit, but the ball bounced off his head.
Well, he at least jumped up. He hit it with something. His hand,
his
whatever,
head got in the way.
Whatever it was, he got up enough to get it blocked. And then the strip tackle at the end of the game was just, they double teamed him. He still fought through, strip sack. Wanham got the ball. I think it's the first time we've called Wanham's name this year. He's been pretty disappointing when it comes to getting to the quarterback, but picks up the ball. And then the Panthers put themselves in another position on 4th down, a short. 1st down, the game's over. If you don't get the 1st down, Rams have the ball with 2 minutes, and who knows what happens. And Bryce, again, zips one to Coker. Coker makes a great catch. Game over. Bryce Young, when you look at his stats at this point in time, and again, the jury's still out, right? Like, we both agree, and it took me a while to even get to this point, that Bryce can be a good quarterback. Does he do anything great that's going to make him elite? I haven't seen it. But if we get that Bryce where he's at least making the throws he has to make, the touchdown pass to Tet was not an easy pass. I mean, he had to throw that in perfectly over a corner of Forbes that most people have been saying is the top cornerback in football this year. And he laid it in there perfectly. The touchdown pass to Coker, same thing on 4th down.
Well, the play to end the game at when they were driving, the pass on, I don't know if it was 3rd or 4th, to seal the deal, with Coker right over the middle.
Yep.
I mean, that was a seed.
Yep.
I mean, he threw that ball right into tight space when it needed to go. He knew where he was going to go the ball. He delivered a strike. And I will say this about Bryce Young. When he has time, when all things are in his favor, you're running the ball, when things are matching up the way that he needs them to be to have success, he is a good quarterback. He's a very good quarterback. He's very efficient in those moments. Where he struggles is that when trying to improvise, make plays. The pressure where he has to step up to make other plays great, make a guy miss, run around, get out of pressure. Things like that is where he struggles a little bit, and a lot of quarterbacks do. So I'm not saying anything that other quarterbacks don't do as well, but in order to be elite and be a guy that you're counting on that's going to take you to the next level, you have to be able to have both of those. Mm-hmm. And Bryce yesterday showed that he has the poise to throw the ball and strikes in big moments and not miss. Yep. And he's been pretty consistent about that. That's the reason why on fourth down, he doesn't blink an eye to that pressure. It's just, okay, it's just another play. Let's go out there and execute. Yep. It's not like the magnitude of the situation gets so great where he dunks one into the ground or he sails one over the head. He delivers in those situations is what you're really asking for in a game managing quarterback. And that's what I would consider Bryce is a very good game manager. He's just not a great athlete at that position because nothing about his physical attributes stand out to make him great.
Well, I tell you, if we can run the ball like that, it certainly takes pressure off him. When a lot of people I saw were saying, "Oh, well, he only threw 20 passes for 206 yards."
That's the formula.
That's the formula. Exactly.
It was the formula for him. It was also the formula for who? The MVP of the league in 2015 that dabbed on everybody when Cam Newton threw the ball between 17 and 23 times, their win percentage was 93%. Yep. When he had to throw the ball 30 plus times, good luck. Yeah. When they didn't run the ball 30 times, they didn't win. Yep. So it's the same thing for a guy like Bryce. The rest of the team has to be on point for him to be an efficient quarterback. And yesterday they were. Yeah,
and listen, there's still holes to fill. And where we see the Panthers right now, we've seen a lot of progress this year. We've seen a lot of additions through free agency in the draft where Dan Morgan has nailed it. Mike Jackson getting him for a freaking 7th-round pick last year. He's been more than an average DB. The last 2 games in particular, he's playing great. And then, we talk about Canales. There's a coach that you and I both like a lot in Dan Campbell, the coach for the Lions. And when he took over the Lions, it was the same type of team that Canales took over here. They hadn't won in a while. They've been pretty bad for a while. Campbell goes 3-13 his first year, 9-8 his second year, 12-5 his third year. Canales goes 5-12 his first year, and now he's 7-6. So you can reasonably believe that we can maybe squeeze a couple more wins out. We got to beat the Saints on the road after the bye. And then you got 2 with Tampa, Seahawks coming here, who may be the best team in the league right now. But you do see that we see progress. And as a Panther fan, at least the ones I've talked to, and I think you'll agree, is that nobody thought we were going to be a Super Bowl team this year. We thought if we could just flirt with the playoffs, that would be progress and we'd all be happy with it. And here we are flirting with the playoffs, and not only flirting, but we control our own destiny with 2 against Tampa left, 1 at the Saints. And we got a bye week this week, which is coming at a perfect time because after that bye week, you're going to get Cade Mays back, your center, who we both agree when he's at center, the line is better. There's a chance we're going to get Hunt back, who's our best O-lineman. And if not for Saints, we think we'll get him back for Tampa. You're going to get Morrig back. You're going to get J.C. Horn back. This team's going to get healthy at the right time to make this last push to try to make the playoffs. And Tampa's also going to get healthy, right? They're going to get McMillan, their a good young receiver back. But we're going to be healthy at the right time. The bye week came at the right time. Now we got to go on the road against the Saints. And look, the Saints beat us here. We couldn't do anything against the Saints here. The Saints yesterday gave Miami all they wanted. It came down to a intercepted 2-point conversion that would have tied the game. Rookie quarterback SHOCKS is making some plays. They're running the ball. Their defense is feisty. So that's not going to be easy. And the Saint Panther, if you want to call it a rivalry, it's always like that. It seems like those games are always kind of ugly and tight. But if you are the Panthers, and here's the other thing too, if you look at the Panthers record, I think it's the last 6 or 7 games. Hell, it might be more than that. We win, we lose. We win, we lose. We win. I think the last 6 games in particular, win, lose, win, lose, win, lose, win, lose. We haven't lost back-to-back games this year. It's time now to go on a nice run. We just beat the Rams.
We haven't won back-to-back games this year. Is that what you're saying?
I think we've won back-to-back.
We've won at one time.
But I don't think we've lost back-to-back.
Right.
So now it's time to go beat the Saints and then you set up for the big matchup against Seattle, and then the 2 at Tampa, and see what happens.
I know we won back to back because before that game, I think we were talking about we'd only won 3 in like 10 years.
Yeah.
Right. So I know we've won back to back at least once this year, and let's hope we can do it back to back, for the second time this season, which will be improvement.
Yeah,
that'll be improvement. And you have a great opportunity.
We won 3 in a row against the Dolphins, the Cowboys, the Jets.
There you go.
And then we went loss, win, loss, win, loss, win.
And that's the reason why we have the record we have right now. We're ahead, 7-6. So let's hope we make it 8-6. So you make it 9 wins will get you in the playoffs in this division.
In the fourth quarter, which I know when you would say coaches like to break the NFL schedule into 4 quarters, right? We're coming up our fourth quarter after the bye week. At the Saints, home against the Bucks, home against the Seahawks, at the Bucks. If you go 3-1 during those 4 games, you're in the playoffs, because that will mean that you beat the Saints more than likely, and that you at least split with the Bucks, and maybe you beat the Seahawks. Or if you lose to the Seahawks, you sweep the Bucks. And I'm not saying we're going to do this. I'm just saying if you do go 3-1, you're in. If you beat the Saints and the Bucks twice, you're in, because you'll win the division.
The way that coaches will draw this up when you're in the team meeting is they'll divide the games and see. And the hope is that when they're talking to you is that you're going to win all your games at home and you're going to split on the road, which gets you about a 12-4 season, right? You win your games at home, and you split your games. That usually is going to get 90% of the times will get you in the playoffs. For the Panthers, because of some of their losses at home, they're going to have to make sure that they go and do something that I don't think a lot of people are going to expect them to do. The over and under, that when we were talking about this last week of how many games they're going to win when it came left, was 2. Right, that was the number that people would put out there, is that you expect maybe a win against the Saints and maybe split against the Bucks, but nobody expected them to beat the Rams. No. Nobody expects them to beat the Seahawks.
No.
So of the remaining games, because they've won this game, it gives us as fans hope now that we can play with anybody.
Yeah.
Is that the reality of who we are, or are we just a win one, lose one, win one, lose one type of team? I feel still, and I don't want to put a damper on the victory yesterday, because it was probably the best victory we've had in 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, here
for the Panthers.
Yep.
It was a great win. It was, and people, they deserve all the credit. But the reality of it is that I still feel like they're a win one, lose one type of team, which is why their record is at 7-6 right now. They're going to win some that they maybe shouldn't. They're going to lose some that they probably should win. And, that's kind of what happens, when you're a 500 team in the NFL. You're close, you're improving, you're in every game, and those are all positive signs and great for the future of this team. What is going to take us to the next level and get us over the hump? It's either going to be one of 2 things. It's going to be dominant defense, getting sacks, controlling, the outcome of that your situations where you can take that defense on the road and have a great running game. You can win games like that. If you have a great running game, you better have a damn good defense, because those 2 things coincide. If you have an average defense and you have opportunistic, you better have a team that can score if you're going to be a Super Bowl type of team, a playoff type of team. I don't think the Panthers are there yet. Right. But I do think that they run the ball as well as anybody in the league, and they stop the run as well as anybody in the league. And those 2 things, will eventually, start transpiring into wins if they don't make the mistakes and they make, opportunistic plays on the defensive side.
I'll say this. I think the Panthers are further ahead at this point in time than we thought they would be, and that's why Vegas had their over/under at 6.5. They're definitely further ahead than they thought that we thought they would be. Even if they do what you just said and win one, lose one, win one, lose one, they're still going to get to 9 wins, which puts them in the hunt. Now, the thing they've got,
they have to have the right wins.
They have to have the right wins, and here's the big deal: is that Tampa Bay has 5 games left. We have 4. They're home against the Saints. You would think Tampa Bay takes care of that, even though the Saints are playing scrappy. They're home then against the Falcons.
The way you have to look is who's going to be the favorites in these games.
Well, Tampa's going to be the favorite.
Going to be the favorites.
I think
when the Panthers are on the road,
Tampa's going to be the favorite. I would say in every one of the rest.
I
of
would
their
say
games.
it's a pick 'em. I would say it's a pick 'em versus the Panthers in Tampa here in Carolina.
I can see that.
I do think the Tampa's probably 3 points better, but at home you get the 3 points back. So Vegas style, it's a pick 'em game. maybe a half a point one way or the other. Still pick 'em game.
Yep.
They're going to be severe underdogs against the Seahawks.
The Panthers will be.
The Panthers will probably a 7 to 8 point underdog against the Seahawks, and against the Saints on the road, they're probably going to be a dog. The Panthers are probably going to be a dog.
No more than a field goal favorite.
2.5, 2 point, line, coming out of Vegas, depending on what the Saints do this week. And, coming off a bye, I think a lot of handicappers are going to elevate their points. But I do still think the Saints will be slightly favored in that game.
Well, you've got the Saints at Tampa this week. Tampa will be a favorite. Then you've got the Falcons at Tampa. Tampa will be a favorite. Yep. Tampa at the Panthers, and again, we'll be healthier then. They're going to be healthier by then. Game. And then the Tampa Bay has the Dolphins in Miami. Miami has won 3 in a row. They're playing better.
They got rid of,
and we'll see what happens there. And then the final game at Tampa, which is looming now to be a huge game.
Yeah.
I mean, it could really all come down.
It could really all come down to who wins that game if the Panthers take care of business at home and do what they're supposed to do against Tampa when Tampa comes in.
And I think as a Panther fan, if you would say, all right, look.
What's the Panthers' remaining schedule? It goes New Orleans after the bye.
New Orleans.
And then Seattle?
No, it's New Orleans,
Tampa
here.
So
Seattle here at Tampa.
Oh, yeah. So if the Panthers take care of business and win in New Orleans, which is going to be that's a big game too.
Huge game.
Panthers are on a must-win type, especially against teams.
Especially after giving one to the
That's
Saints
right.
Here.
So if you split with them, which we all thought that they would likely do at the beginning of the season, you get that. Now you're an 8-6 football team.
Yeah.
And you control your. Now you have the Bucks coming in, and now you're a 9-6 football team. Right now, the expectations start growing. Hey, you're pretty good. That could be one of two things for this team. That could give them like a lot of confidence that, hey, we got something going here. We got a lot of momentum. We might beat Seattle.
Yeah.
Right. Seattle may be already clinched. They may already need what have happen.
They got to travel across the country.
Right. They got to travel across the country.
10 o'clock their time.
We just beat the Rams. I mean, there's a lot of good things that could still happen against the Seahawks. I do think the Seahawks are much better defense than what the Rams are. That's just my opinion. I mean, those guys up front for the Seahawks are dogs. They fly around, and I think that might be the best defense in the NFL. But that being said, it's a great opportunity to be competitive against a playoff team who a lot of people might consider, one of the favorites in the NFC to push the Eagles or a team like the Niners or even the Rams to the brink of where that you're playing for the Super Bowl on those sides.
The good news for the Panthers fans are that we're at a point now where we're
having a conversation about it.
Exactly. We're not talking about who we're going to take in the draft. And right now, normally as a Panther fan, you're doing your mock drafts. You're watching these.
Just lose.
Yeah.
We need a better player.
We need a better player.
Stop winning games.
Now you're going, man, we're in it. We got a chance. And none of us thought we probably would at this point in time. And if we did, we thought it was probably pie in the sky. Well, with 4 games left, we got a shot. And we actually control our own destiny. That's the bottom line. If we win out or if we beat Tampa twice, and then chances are, if we beat Tampa both times, we're in the playoffs, even if we lose the other 2 games, because the Bucks are 7-5, we're 7-6. So we control our destiny. So I think all of us Panther fans would take it. It was a hell of a game yesterday in the rain and the cold, and props to Canales, to Bryce, to Coker, to the defense, Derek Brown. It was just a great game, and it was unexpected. Now they get a bye week to kind of reset the pins, get healthier. Hopefully Canales next week gets some chomping at the bit in practice, because every game's a playoff game now, right? And these players, none of these players on this team, I don't think, have been in this position. None of them. I mean, Morrig wasn't with the Raiders. I mean, the 2 guys, a couple guys we got from the Rams obviously have been in it, but the majority of this team have not been in that position. So we're going to learn a lot these next 4 weeks, but I think any Panther fan will be happy and take it. Let's fly over to college football for a minute. Oof. And not only to talk about some of the games we've got coming up this weekend, and some of the games that we saw this past weekend, but I want to start with what's the biggest story in all sports the last 24 hours is Lane Kiffin deciding to leave Ole Miss. Once you started hearing that the Floridas of the world and the LSUs of the world were coming after him, I think both you and I are on the same page, thinking that there was probably no way he wasn't going to take that job. Nothing against Ole Miss and nothing against the job he's done there, because he's been nothing less than spectacular there. Get their first 11-win season ever. They're in the playoffs. At least we think they're in the playoffs. We'll see. Who knows with the committee and with the coaching changes. But Lane now goes to LSU. He's already this morning on the recruiting trail, visiting with 5-star players and dove knee deep into it. He wanted to stay and coach the team during the playoffs. I'm kind of on the fence with it, because usually I would be the kind of guy that says, screw you want to go. But the other part of me in this situation is what he's done for Ole Miss and what he's done for that program by putting them on the map. And if they say that they want to be fair to the players, to me, I would at least would lean to maybe letting him coach, but it would have to be a deal where you have to sign something saying you're not taking any of our players or coaches, which he probably wouldn't do. The locker room, from some insiders that we've talked to, say that it's split. Half the players want him to coach, the other half said good luck.
I've been in locker rooms, situations like this, and it's kind of, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. But the loyalty and the bigger picture, for boosters and for, the aesthetics of your program. And we're not bowing to anybody. The pride that you have to have as a program and AD, you have to let your coach go. If he's going to go somewhere else, as much as you love him, as much as you respect what he's done at your program, as many people as he's touched, as many people as he's impacted in a positive way, there's still no way as an athletic director you can allow a guy to be there any longer if he's making the decision to leave. Mm-hmm. It's just like, I love what you've done for me, but you got to take your box and your papers and you got to move on, because we have to move on. Yeah. We can't be sitting here hoping that you're going to win us a championship and then be gone. And then now what? Right. It's just the decision had to be made that way. You couldn't allow the guy to go. The AD, it's a business. Yeah. Right. And I think the hard part for some people is understanding that the sentimental part of college football is no longer there. The loyalty is no longer there. And it hasn't been there for quite some time. And the NIL and the deals have not helped. The reason why Nick Saban left is because of situations like this. People are going to start hiring mercenaries for coaches. People are going to start hiring mercenaries for players. And it's become the Wild West, the NFL. There's no contracts. There's no length of time. I can pull you, pluck you, and find the best player each and every year. And you just weren't going to do that at Ole Miss. I mean, I heard the conversation and the interview with Marty Smith. Marty Smith does a great job covering college football. Yep. He does a great job knowing these guys and feeling like he's their friend, and they trust Marty because he does a fair job of reporting every time he goes out there. He's not looking to create the story. He's just reporting the news. And that's what I wish more people would do in his profession, is that he's not trying to break news. He's just going to report it. And he has great relationships with people to do that. And he had an interview with Lane Kiffin the other day. Nobody else got. And he was sitting there outside, and Lane was making fun of him because how'd you get through all the security and the corn? So I had to drive through the cornfields, and I knew the back way. And I finally found myself here. And Lane gave all the heartfelt answers and the right answers, with what the decision was. And, when Lane was talking to him, he said, at my father's funeral, and for people to know, Monty Kiffin was a longtime NFL coach. He coached at 7, 8, 9 different spots.
One of the best defensive coordinators.
The Tampa cover two. He's the inventor. He's the one that helped that Tampa defense be dominant in the 90s and win a couple of Super Bowls with Warren Sapp and Derek Brooks and John Lynch and all those guys. But he had a big impact on his son's life, obviously, and basically, what he said is that, hey, listen, there's going to be time you have to lose, but the thing you have to do is impact people's lives. And I've impacted a lot of lives here at Ole Miss, and I've done a good job here as a coach. I can say that. I feel like I've done my duty as a head coach, putting this program on the map for the last 3 or 4 years, winning more games than they've ever won, having the 3 years that they've had, they've turned them into a really respected program in the SEC. Yep. right? This is not just like some programs. They have an opportunity to win for years to come because of what Lane has done there. But as my father said, it's also time. It's also time to impact other people's lives. How many lives can I impact in other places? He talked to Nick Saban. He talked to Pete Carroll, two of his mentors, on helping him through the work through the thoughts and the process, and what is the fallout. What is the potential outcome of these things? And he made the decision to go to LSU because you know why? It's a better job. It's a better recruiting job. It's a better that football is a religion for LSU.
Yep.
And it's not that they haven't turned football into being a good thing at Ole Miss, but it's not LSU.
Mm-hmm.
LSU, you have a chance to draw guys away from any college program in the country because you're coming to play in Baton Rouge in front of 100,000 Cajun people, which love the game of football. And it's a key to the NFL, and it's a key to success. And because of the business side of it, I don't have to worry about the pocketbooks and can we go get this guy? I want that guy. There's no question for how much is it worth. I want that guy. And that's what Lane Kiffin has now at his disposal, is he has the ability to go get anybody in the country from any team in the country, including Ohio State, including Alabama, and including Georgia, to say, I'm going to make you better. You come play for me, especially in the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, I have no problem with him leaving it. I think the situation sucks. I think the bigger issue here is the NCAA and the schedule that they have. The portal screwed up. The
timing of everything is not ideal.
Exactly. And I think the NCAA, who doesn't seem to get many things right, are going to have to go back to the drawing board and fix this. And maybe this is the last straw in the haystack or the camel's back that gets it done. We'll see. But I don't blame the guy. It is a better job. And even if the money was going to be the same, it's a better job. You ask anybody in the country, is there a better chance to win a national championship, LSU or Ole Miss? They're all going to say LSU.
Ole Miss, have they won one?
No.
Ever?
Never. This will be the first time in the playoffs.
So
he built a nice program there, but at LSU, they expect you to get in the national championship every year. They don't think that we can have a nice, good run. They expect you to be there every year.
There are 5 states in the country that you could argue are, one is better than the next. In no top order, the top 5 states in the country, in the entire country, are Florida, Georgia, California, Texas, and Louisiana.
Yep.
I mean, and it's not even close.
Yep.
And it's not, the more 5-star players come out of those states over Ohio, over Arizona, over North and South Carolina, over, Mississippi, over any other place in the country, Oregon. I mean, those 5 states dominate the recruiting of college football, and right in your backyard, you're going to have the biggest, you're going to have the fastest, you're going to have the strongest O-line, wide receivers, DBs, running backs. It's just, now you got to go find a quarterback.
And one of the things, which he will,
he's going to make somebody a quarterback.
Correct. That's the one thing he do. I mean, look, he's won games at Ole Miss this year. The kid that was in Division II the last year. So Jackson
Dart looks like he's pretty damn good,
right?
Isn't he?
I mean, that's what he does. Now, the other thing about players in Louisiana is Louisiana is one of those states that are different from the standpoint of the kids that grow up playing football in Louisiana. They dream of playing at LSU. Mm-hmm. They dream of playing a night game at Tiger Stadium. And the other thing that's going to be really interesting, and we're jumping way ahead now, but tell me this ain't going to be fun. His first game as LSU head coach is going to be at home against Clemson. And he plays on the road next year at Tennessee, a team that he left, and at Ole Miss. Mm-hmm. So you talk about the drama, and that's so next year LSU is going to be must-watch football, even if you hate him, which I'm not an LSU guy. However, Debo walking in to LSU
if he's still there
for that first game, and then Lane taking his boys to Tennessee and Ole Miss, where he is hated. I mean, I don't know if you saw yesterday when Lane was getting on the private plane, there were fans from Ole Miss that found out when the flight was, that were behind the fence giving him the bird, telling him to F off, all these things. So I can't wait for those next year.
But here's the reality of it, DJ, is that if this was a school that had deep tradition and history, if this was like a Georgia, if this was Alabama, if this was Auburn, and you were leaving that school to go somewhere else, the venom and the hate is going to be, 10 times. Ole Miss, you should be thankful. You should be thankful that he was there.
That's the way I kind of look at it.
You should be thankful that Lane Kiffin
put you
came
on the map
and put you on the
playoffs.
Because before that, you know what you were? A baseball school. That's it. That's all you were good at. Baseball. Nothing else. Yep. Maybe swimming. They might have been good at swimming. You might make a nice
bowl game here and there. Your basketball team, they lost
non-existent
last year. They're
non-existent. The basketball is horrible before, all
the last couple of years they were good. But
swimming, the men's swimming, they're pretty good at, from what and baseball. I mean, those are the two things that Ole Miss was known for. And the Grove and partying, and hot girls that goes in some.
Ole Miss is known for a lot of good things, but you weren't known for having a consistent good football team until Lane was there. So I get why you're pissed off that he left, but I would also, like you said, be thankful for that. He put you on the map. Now you just better figure out how to stay there, and that's going to be harder than
good luck.
Good luck. It's going to be tough
because now LSU, he's coming. Ole Miss, he's coming. He's coming to get his players, and there's nothing. And here's the thing. There's nothing that they can do to stop it. There's nothing that if I want you as my player from Ole Miss and you played for me as your coach, I'm coming to get you. Mm-hmm. I'm coming to rob the cupboards, and I'm going to take whoever I want. You know why? Because now I have LSU money and backing behind me. Yep. And you know what? Those guys want to win. Oh. They don't care whose toes they step on. This is not about hey, buddy, I hope that I don't hurt your feelings.
Yeah.
I'm coming to whoop your ass, and you're not going to do it. That's the difference between major college sports is they're not worried and concerned about feelings like most people are.
Listen, the governor of Louisiana came out when Brian Kelly was fired and got involved not only with trying not to pay him the $54 million he was owed, but also saying that when we hire this next coach, we're not going to do this. We're not going to do. I mean, the governor, and it wasn't because he was trying to get his next election. He was in it because that's just the way Louisiana is. So I think it's the perfect fit, and I think Lane Kiffin's probably going to crush it there. Only time will tell. I do feel for the Ole Miss fans because it does suck, losing your coach. I know as a Notre Dame fan, when we lost Brian Kelly, I was
look
pissed.
What you got.
But that's the thing. Sometimes it turns out better. Lane Kiffin.
One door closes, another door opens, and sometimes that opportunity to have that next coach, but again, Ole Miss is not Notre Dame either.
No doubt. But when Brian Kelly left, who had Notre Dame at least consistently
10 wins.
Yep.
He was a 10-win coach. Couldn't win the big one. Couldn't win the big one.
Got whooped. But when he left, you do go, oh, come on. And I hate Brian Kelly. I didn't like him much with Notre Dame, but I couldn't stand him. Well, guess what? We got Marcus Freeman. And Marcus Freeman was the guy that was the defensive coordinator, just like Ole Miss just hired. Maybe you get lucky. Maybe
played in the national championship and were very competitive all the way to the very end of that game last year.
And guess what? The coaching carousel still isn't done. Penn State hasn't hired their new coach yet, and the rumors are that Heupel from Tennessee, who, by the way, Tennessee didn't even beat a Power 4 team this year. So Heupel, everyone agrees, can score. But my point is, the coaching carousel is still not done. We just saw Tulane's coach. They're playing this weekend on Friday against North Texas. The winner of that game is going to go in the playoffs,
which is ridiculous.
I agree, but they're going to let him coach the game, which is different than what Ole Miss did. They are letting him coach.
Well, he hasn't announced that he's going somewhere.
Right? No, he is. He's going to Florida.
He's already announced. He's already announced
it. And Tulane said,
well, again, we're talking about Tulane, not we're talking about a school.
When you coach Tulane, and your coach ends up being a badass, they're leaving.
That's right. You're a stepping stool or a stepping stone to the next program.
And guess what? Even this coach at Ole Miss, if 3 years down the road he maintains where they've been, guess what? If a Florida comes asking or an Alabama comes asking, you're going to leave. That's just the way it is. So I don't have a problem with Lane. The timing sucks, but that's the NCAA's problem. They need to figure out a schedule when it comes to recruiting, the portal, coaches leaving, the playoffs that works for everybody to eliminate this stuff, because nobody wants to see a coach leave after making the playoffs and not even get the coach's team in the playoffs. No one wants to see that. No one wants to see players bailing off of teams before. I mean,
well, they're just like in baseball. Don't they have a dead period where you're not allowed to talk to anybody, for coaches, for players, even though behind closed doors and smoky rooms, those conversations may still be had with agents and the rumors may be flying, but to leave a program while the season is still going on, and that's what's going to happen. The longer you continue to extend these playoffs, and the more games that we have, the longer that period, should be. But I'm in agreement with you is that there should be no contact with these players and coaches, no tampering
until
after the playoffs are done.
Yep,
until you've crowned the national championship, and then you know what? It's
Next
open
day,
season.
go for it.
It's open season.
Yeah, I agree. Hopefully the NCAA steps in and fixes it, because that, to me, that's the main problem. Before we leave, we do have some big games this weekend that are going to really have ties to who gets into the playoffs and who doesn't get in the playoffs. We mentioned the North Texas Tulane game. The winner of that game will be in the playoffs. You got BYU against Texas Tech. Texas Tech whooped BYU a few weeks ago at home. Now they're going to play in the championship. If BYU wins, both BYU and Texas Tech get in. If BYU loses, they're probably out. If they do win, then there's teams that are going to get a little nervous, like a Notre Dame, like a Oklahoma,
Texas,
Texas, Miami, all those teams that are fighting to get in. You do not want BYU to win that game. We've got Indiana and Ohio State, number 1 versus number 2 in the country. Regardless of the outcome of that game, they're still probably going to be the 1 and 2 seeds in the playoffs. And then you've got Duke versus Virginia for the ACC championship. The winner of that game gets in.
Here's my problem with the playoffs and all the things that we're talking about. And we had the same issue last year with it was 8 and it went to 12, and there's going to be somebody left out. Remember when Florida State got left out?
Mm-hmm.
There's always going to be somebody grumbling they didn't get it. Even if you go to 16, even if you go to 32,
we see it in March Madness.
Even if you go to 32, even if you go to 64, and every team plays.
Yeah.
But the problem I have is the second and third place trophies, the feel-good prizes. This isn't the YMCA, right? There's a time and place when the YMCA has some impact for some young children that may not have an opportunity to win, right? You want to make them all feel included, and I get that. When they're kids, that's these kids are no longer kids. These are guys that these are mercenaries making millions of dollars. And I have a problem when you're giving away second and third and fourth and fifth place trophies to teams that don't belong there, right? Like Tulane, like Virginia, like Duke. The winner of the ACC, I'm sorry, you were awful this year. You don't belong in the conversation with the 12 best teams. But you're going to get in because you play in that conference, right?
In the conference championship game.
The conference championship game. You're going to get in with 5 losses. You're going to be out the first game. It's going to be a miserable game. Duke playing Alabama or Georgia, right? Depending on who wins. And the other problem I have with the system and the way it's set up right now is that if you play in a conference championship game, you're penalized. You're penalized for playing in a championship game. For example, if Georgia plays Alabama, Alabama has 2 wins, Georgia has 1. Georgia can lose, not be penalized. Shouldn't be, because they're playing in a game, a bonus game that nobody else is playing in. They're playing in a game that they got rewarded to play in their conference. Alabama, if they didn't play in that game, would be in the playoffs.
Yeah, if Alabama loses to Georgia, they're out.
If Alabama loses to Georgia, they're getting punished for playing in the championship game.
And I think anyone would
unless
agree,
they win.
And everyone I would think would agree that if Alabama played North Texas or Tulane or Virginia
or Duke or whoever you could fill in the rest of the blank with. They might be better than Indiana. They might be better than Oregon. They might be better than Ole Miss. They're better than Texas Tech. They might be better than Oklahoma.
And we saw it last year.
They beat Oklahoma.
Yep. And then even with Texas, who, Texas has some bad losses, but they also have, I think they're the only team in the country that's beating 3 of the top 10 teams. So every team
so
on
a team
bubble,
like Oklahoma that's sitting there at like 7 or 8 in the country that plays in the same conference is not going to have to face the elimination because they're not playing.
Yep.
Bama beat Oklahoma. And because they beat them, they're playing in the championship game. And if they lose to Georgia, they're going to be penalized. They'll be out. Oklahoma will be in. That, to me, is not the intent of what the getting more teams in is meant to be.
And that's why I think that.
And when you're giving trophies away to Tulanes and Virginias you're not putting the 12 best teams in.
Well, that's the thing. If you still want to have the conference championship, so be it, but don't make it an automatic way into the playoffs. Because I think if you're wanting the best 12 teams, which I think we do, whoever wins the Virginia Duke game, they're not as good as the Alabama, the Texas,
they're not as good as
Notre
Texas.
Dame.
They're not as good as Notre Dame. They're not good as the teams that were going to be left out and might be, and they're going to be put in because they play in a Power 5 conference.
The
Tulane, great. You've had a great season, right? Just like the NCAA has the NIAA. What's the?
They got like 3 of them now.
No, they got the other tournament that you go give a trophy to.
Then they got
the NIT. You have the NIT. You go play in the NIT. Go play in the little boy bowl over here. There's no difference between that and high school football or when you're in high school football, they have divisions for a reason. They have the 8A, they have the 7A, they have the 6A. The teams in the 5A aren't going to compete against the teams in the 8A, not the championship teams. They're too big, they're too fast, there's too many athletes. You might have a team that wins a game every now and then, but when it comes to winning 4 or 5, like you have to do to run the gauntlet now that you're playing in a 12-man bracket, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, no one would argue, wouldn't think, even if you're a fan of Virginia or Tulane or North Texas, that if you want the best 12 teams, regardless of what happens in this Alabama-Georgia game, Alabama would beat North Texas, Tulane, Virginia. Regardless of what happens with what's happened with Texas, Texas is better than those 3
Let me ask you a question.
Even I mean, Miami, who I'm not down on, who I'm not high on, and yep, they beat my boys Notre Dame the first game of the year, and I can sit here and say, well, we had a freshman quarterback, we weren't the same. And I agree, I think all that's right. Notre Dame has won on a roll since. But even Miami is better than North Texas and Virginia. And right now, today, again, I don't care what there's slip-ups during the year. I get all those things, but this isn't going to be the best 12 teams. And that's going to be a fact. I do like the look.
Let me ask you a question. Okay. Let's just say for argument's sake, there's 16, nobody gets a bye. Okay. And you're Tulane or you're North Texas and you win and you get your sanctimonial pat on the back. You're going to be in the big boy bracket, but there's no buys now. Here's your prize.
Ohio State.
You got to go play Ohio State. And we're basically going to watch you get slaughtered and celebrate that. Are you proud of that? If you're a North Texas team or a Tulane, that I have the prize is going to, let's go lock arms and hope we have a chance to win and get slaughtered by Ohio State.
I think if you're,
are you going to that game? If you're a fan of that,
I'm not excited about. But what I would say,
if you were rooting for those teams, if that was your team,
that's what I was going to say. If you're a let's just use,
there ain't no way.
If you're a North Texas fan, let's just say that's who you get, or Tulane, either one. If you're a player on that team and you know I'm right on this, and you're a coach on that team, and you get put in that position, you're excited as hell to have a chance. You never know. Is it going to be an unbelievable surprise? Yes, but you still would like the chance. Now, is it going to be pretty more than likely? Nope. But you at least want to have a shot. I mean, it's like the 16-1 matchups in basketball and the tournament.
This is not basketball.
I agree because I totally agree. But what I'm saying though is you still, as that underdog, want a shot.
I'm not shooting 3-pointers from the outside and have a chance to win. I'm lining up against grown men.
I agree.
That are 350 pounds.
I'm just saying,
bench 600 pounds.
I'm just saying,
squat 1,000.
I agree.
And they're going to hurt you.
I agree. I'm just saying that as a player or a coach or a fan of a team like that, of course you want the chance. You just never know. Maybe you get lucky.
Okay, so let's say you get
and by the way, I don't think they should be in. So I agree with you. I'm just saying
you get lucky. Then what?
You beat.
You're going to get lucky 4 times?
No. But my point is you want the opportunity as a player.
Even if you play well and get your ass beat.
I mean, we saw it last year when Boise got in, and Indiana even last year, who had a great year last year, but didn't play anybody.
Indiana's
and we saw what Notre Dame.
Power 5 team.
Right, I agree. But even last year, a lot of people said they shouldn't have got in.
They're not Tulane. Sorry, that's like App State. App State saying, "Hey, we're going to go beat." I mean, great. They beat Michigan. Michigan was terrible that year. They were ranked high because they didn't know anything about Michigan. They were the top 5 team in the country, right? But as it turns out, Michigan was not very good. They didn't win hardly, but maybe 7 or 8 games.
But it's still a great win.
That's
if you're an App State fan, it's still a great, huge win. So my point is,
not going to happen against a team that has proven that they're the better team, and they're going to roll in there.
They wouldn't score against Ohio State.
That's right.
But I'm just saying, as a fan or a player, of course you want the opportunity. Maybe you get lucky, but as at the overall scheme
of no way you're thinking as a fan.
I think you're hoping.
No way you're excited. No, you're not.
Oh, if I'm a fan of one of those teams and I'm playing those guys, I'm like, you know what?
You're
Let's see what
excited to
happens.
go get your ass whooped?
I'm not going in thinking I'm going to get my ass whooped.
As a fan?
I'm going in there thinking,
come on.
It would be a huge upset, but let's see what happens.
Come on.
Maybe we get lucky.
Then you're unrealistic.
I'm not. Well, I think if you ask me,
I don't care how adamant
two different
you are.
questions. If you ask me as a fan, are we going to beat them? The answer is going to be no. Like I thought even yesterday with Panthers and Rams. But if you ask me as a fan,
that's a completely different scenario.
But my point is, as a fan, if you ask them, do you think you're going to win the game? They're going to say, hell no. But as a fan, if you say, okay, knowing you're probably going to get whooped, are you still excited for the opportunity to be there and maybe, who knows, shock the world? Hell yeah, I'll take it every time. Again, that doesn't mean that it's right for the playoffs.
Until you go get beat 70-0 you get embarrassed.
Maybe, but
and then what?
Then you
walk away.
Then
like,
you're back to where you were. You won your conference championship, and you
celebrate.
You made a little extra money.
Celebrate that.
But
celebrate that.
And again, I'm not saying that these teams should be there.
Celebrate that and go win a championship that you're capable of winning because you deserve to have a trophy. It's just not the big boy trophy.
Well, and again, that's where I do agree. I think
and on top of that, you're taking a spot away from a team that legitimately has a chance to win. You're not just not doing that against Ohio State or Alabama or Georgia. You're not doing that against a team that might be out, a Texas or a Notre Dame
Miami.
or a Miami. Those teams would do exactly what I'm saying to you if you were to walk in that realm. Those teams deserve, because they have a chance to beat Ohio State.
And that's where, again, it comes back to the NCAA saying that if you want the best 12 teams,
that's not what they're saying, though. We want fairness and equality is what they're saying.
But they also go, our job is to try to find the best 12 teams. Well, if that was the case, number one.
What they say and what they do are two different things.
That's my point.
Yeah. Okay.
So if you want the best 12 teams, it shouldn't matter about conference championships.
That's right.
And then people can go, then why are they playing them? Don't. I know why you're playing them, because you make a lot of money.
That's exactly right.
But if that's the case and you want the best 12 teams, take the best 12 teams. Because even if Alabama loses to Georgia this week, you can't tell me they're not better than three of these teams.
That's right. And
Miami and Texas, you can't tell me that. And Notre Dame as well, like I said, because Notre Dame, if things fall differently this weekend, they're going to be on the bubble now, because if BYU gets in, that's taking a spot. If Alabama wins, that's a spot. So now the Oklahomas of the world and the Notre Dames of the world are going to get nervous.
I'm much more excited if there were 16 teams and Notre Dame was one of those teams that was kind of on the bubble, which they are. Texas kind of on the bubble, which they are. Miami kind of on the bubble. If Miami was playing Ohio State,
right?
Because now we're going to get a better handle on who the best team is, who the hottest team is, and even those teams have the opportunity to win. Because you know what? Let's say for Notre Dame, the quarterback and the running back were hurt the first 4 games of the season. They lost 2 of those teams because they scheduled outside the conference and they played, the teams that they were supposed to, and they lost by 1 or 2 points because they didn't have their top dogs. But you know what? They got them now. And here they come, and they haven't lost a game since, and they're rolling through everybody.
Yep.
Texas right now is a dangerous team.
Yep.
Manning is playing better. He's not as lost as what he was maybe.
Yep.
They're understanding how to use him more. They have an incredibly good defense.
Mm-hmm.
They have athletes everywhere. They could beat anybody on any given Saturday,
yep.
right? They deserve a chance to do this with a quarterback that, is turned from a freshman into maybe a sophomore.
Mm-hmm.
He's still not where he could be, because he could be even better than that. But now we're going to see if what they're about. They're crying to get in. They deserve to be in, and they're one of the best 12 teams in the country.
That's the part. That's the thing. And
so is Notre Dame,
and so is Alabama,
and so is Alabama.
Miami's a team to me that I would. And Miami beat Notre Dame, so I don't completely take away the head-to-head, but I do think you have to look at the overall picture. And Miami can make a argument for each team. To me, though, Miami, the last 6 weeks of this season has not looked like a top 12 team. They just haven't. You lose to Louisville, I just don't. SMU, who just lost to Cal. Cal stinks. So to me, they're the one that I would rank out of the bubble teams. They would be last. You can make an argument.
Are they better than Tulane?
Yes. 100%.
Are they better than North Texas?
And they're better than Virginia.
Are they better than Virginia?
100%.
Are they better than Duke?
100%.
Right. So,
and that's what I'm saying. If you want the best 12 teams, those 4 teams we just mentioned would be in.
That's right.
And at least 2 of those teams, again, depending on how this falls this weekend, that's why this
they
weekend.
beat Duke by what? 3 touchdowns? 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns. Who? Miami. I think they played Duke, didn't they? They played one of them. They either played Virginia or Duke.
No,
they beat them.
I think they beat Duke by double digits. But they lost to Louisville.
Yeah, they lost to Louisville.
And then if you're a Miami fan, you go, well, Carson Beck had a bad game. He threw 4 interceptions that game. He did, and I get it. You have bad games. Listen, The other team wants to win just as bad as you do, but you lost to SMU. Well, SMU, they can say, had a couple big wins. They did, but they just lost to Cal. My point is, you can make an argument for every team as to why they should be in there. To me, the eyeball test on how these teams have played from the beginning of the year to now. Alabama lost to Florida State. Florida State's awful. But after that loss, Alabama is a top 12 team.
Mm-hmm.
They even through the close games and even through the tight games, they go on the road and beat Georgia. I mean, you got to let the eyeball test do some of the work.
How did Miami not play Duke or Virginia this year? They didn't play either one of them. Was that the game that they maybe
no, it's just
they're a 10-2 second in the ACC, but they're not playing the championship.
But they lost to Louisville.
And
they lost to SMU.
And they lost to SMU.
Mm-hmm.
But Virginia and Duke are playing in the championship
because it's just the way that the divisions are. So look, there's an argument to be made for all these teams. There's obviously going to be some teams that are going to be pissed off if they don't get in, and rightfully so. To your point and what we were talking about, if you had 12 teams and you're just picking the best 12 teams, there'll still be some teams pissed off, but we'd have 12 damn good teams. Whereas now, no one's going to get excited if Virginia wins the ACC championship and goes on the road to play Georgia. No one's going to be excited if North Texas goes on the road and plays Oregon or Texas Tech. We fully expect the outcome. Those will all be double-digit spreads, every one of them, and it might be a nice story leading up to it. And maybe they battle hard for a half or a quarter, but we all know what the outcome's going to be. We would all be shocked if it was anything different. Whereas if it was Alabama or Miami or Texas, now we got a damn ball game.
Mm-hmm. And here's the other thing I don't like about the conference championships, right? That they're playing this next weekend or the weekend after. I think it's next week.
This coming up, yeah.
I don't want to see Ohio State play Indiana already. Right? I don't want to see that. The only time I want to see that, I want to see if Indiana can beat Georgia. I want to see if I don't want to see that game, because if Ohio State beats Indiana, then where does Indiana fall in, like, how are they just what, or if Indiana beats Ohio State, then Ohio State's maybe not as good. Indiana's better than what we thought, but they're still going to go lose to Georgia or Alabama. Right? I mean, so Ohio State can beat, or Indiana can beat Ohio State, but what are we learning from this game? Why are they playing this game?
Remember last year, Ohio State lost to Michigan at the end of the year, ended up getting in the playoffs and winning the whole damn thing. So I see your point. It would be, without the conference championships, it would be better if we just said, all right, here we go. Now the tournament's starting and let's rock. Let's see what we got. Because you're right. If Indiana, let's say Ohio State whoops Indiana, then all the people that go, Indiana beat nobody. They beat Oregon at Oregon, and that's it, really. That's it. So now we just see him play a big boy and they get whooped. Why are they going to be number 2 ranked?
Yeah.
You see, so you're right. It adds more freaking blurriness to a picture that's already blurry.
Well, it's like in the ACC or like in basketball even, right? If you win the ACC championship, great, you won the ACC champ. That's not your goal. Your goal is a national champion.
Right.
It's not what we're saving our ammunition.
I mean, if you're Virginia or Duke, that's one thing.
Yeah,
winning
that's
the
right.
ACC championship's great.
That's a great season.
You don't have aspirations to win the national championship. And I'm not saying that as a knock to those teams, but if you win the ACC championship at Virginia or Duke, that's getting it done. You didn't expect at the beginning of the year to win the national championship. Maybe you said win the ACC championship and get into the playoffs and see what happens. Okay, I get that. But you knew you're not winning.
Do you think Georgia did?
100%.
Do you think Alabama did?
Ohio State.
Do you think Ohio State
Those
did?
teams said we want to win the national championship.
Yeah.
And that was what I thought was kind of funny this weekend with the Ohio Michigan, all the crap talk that was going on, where people were saying that Ohio State would rather beat Michigan than win the national championship. I'm like, you're out of your mind. That's completely ridiculous to say. And I've been a part of that rivalry, and I understand it's a huge rivalry. But if you would have asked Ohio State last year, hey, look, we're going to let you beat Michigan, but you're going to lose in the national championship, or you're going to lose in Michigan and win the national championship, every one of them said, let's win the national championship. Because, and Ryan Day lost to him 4 times in a row, right? So he wanted to get that monkey off his back this year, and he did. But they won a national championship last year. Mm-hmm. They're not fighting to beat just a Michigan or to win the conference champ. It's nice.
Michigan's a stepping stone to winning the national championship.
That's what it was. And this year, now Indiana will be another stepping stone, and for Indiana as well. So some big games this weekend. When we're back with you on Friday, there'll still probably be some more coaching carousel, because I think Penn State could be naming their dude this week, and they've narrowed it down to, I think, 3 or 4 guys. We'll get you ready for those big games Friday night and Saturday. I think the North Texas Tulane game is Friday night. BYU Texas Texas Tech might be Friday night. Then the big Indiana, Ohio State, Duke, Virginia here in Charlotte.
That's not a big game.
It's not a big game, but it's in Charlotte, so we'll talk about it a little bit. But some big games. We'll also get into some college hoops because now we're getting into that part of the season where there's been a lot of great games so far. Duke beating Arkansas this weekend. North Carolina took it on the chin against Michigan State, but much improved. NC State much improved. Wake Forest keeping games close. Louisville looks really good. Duke plays Michigan State on Saturday, which will be a big game in basketball. So we'll get into a little bit of that.
So let me ask the question, right? So Michigan State beat North Carolina. If Duke beats Michigan State, are they better than North Carolina?
I don't know. The good news is we'll find out because they played twice, and the ACC should be great this year.
At least twice.
At least twice. Yeah, exactly. But we'll have all that for you Friday. Have a great week. We'll see you then.